Evidence is piling up that Liberal MPs just might be filling their family members' pockets with taxpayer money. The CBC likes to defend scumbag politicians, and Bill Morneau resigns, leaving our country with the most debt it's ever had in history. This is Canada Now. I'm Greg Wycliffe. Our top story tonight is a detailed, up-to-date breakdown on the We Charity scandal. Too many Kielburgers. In other news, the Liberal government has been under fire for misplacing over 20,000 infrastructure projects. With billions of dollars unaccounted for, the auditors in charge of auditing these projects don't even have the resources to keep track of how much money we've lost track of. In other words, we've lost track of so much money, and we don't even have the money to measure how much money we've lost track of. Who the hell writes this stuff? Canadians who aren't part of a goat-worshipping cult, Canadians who aren't Liberal supporters are beyond frustrated with this. One Canadian man went to the office of Catherine McKenna, Canada's Minister of Infrastructure. And when this man was turned away at the door by McKenna's staffer, he started complaining about her mismanagement of these projects, and things got a little heated.
Hello, how are you today?
How are you?
Can I speak with Catherine?
No, sorry. Our office isn't open to the public.
Okay, I got a tiny bit of an issue. Can you help me? She says she's spending $10 billion a year on infrastructure. The PBO office, Yves Giroux, says she's only spending $5 billion a year. What's up with that? I don't go to work every day and bust my for this to steal our money. You're all scumbags. I hope you all burn in hell. You're all going to get what you deserve, you traitors.
Now, based on the explicitives in this video, I can only assume this guy was making some great points. But here in Canada now, calling our politicians names, holding their feet to the fire, ridiculing and shaming them to be better, well, that's a hate crime now. Well, according to CBC, the police are launching a hate crime investigation against this man. So, entire province of Alberta, people who don't like Trudeau, look out. You might be being investigated. Being investigated by the police for criticizing politicians and authority figures. What does that remind me of, huh? But not to worry, we have the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, designed to serve everyday Canadians, just like this guy. Did the CBC have sympathy for the little guy and hear out the frustrations of this taxpayer who feels like our infrastructure minister could have done a little better, considering she's misplaced tens of thousands of projects? Of course not. The state-funded CBC acted like a state-funded propaganda machine defending this incompetent politician, downplaying the irresponsible management of projects and instead propagating the idea that this random Canadian guy complaining is a hate crime. State-run propaganda defending corrupt politicians. What does that remind me of? Right in front of you guys. And some of you might say, Greg, shouldn't you have more sympathy for Catherine McKenna? She's a woman in politics and she's being shouted at by this man and physically intimidated. Look, politics is an ugly place. I ran for politics last year. The CBC and other mainstream media outlets grossly mischaracterized my party and my leader. Because of these mischaracterizations, some of which from our public broadcaster, I had an 18-year-old volunteer shouted at in the street and physically intimidated by a man probably twice his age. I was flagrantly disrespected at debates by grown men who are hoping to represent you in Parliament. I was protested against, banned from debates, slandered online, campaign signage was vandalized, along with many other PPC candidates. They had that experience. And finally, I had a Canadian volunteer of Indian heritage harassed on the street for campaigning with me, even having vegetables thrown at him. So no, I don't have any sympathy for Catherine McKenna. She did a bad job, and now she's getting called out on it. Now, if we could only do something about our state-funded broadcaster and other mainstream media outlets, instead of defending these incompetent crooks in suits, maybe they could focus on the very valid concern of Canadian taxpayers. Dare to dream. But should Canadians really be worried about billions of misplaced dollars and 20,000 missing infrastructure projects? Grow up. Besides, a journalist from Rebel News, Kian Bexty, just asked Catherine McKenna the other day about these infrastructure projects.
So I'm wondering if any of the 20,000 government projects that Minister McKenna lost track of were aimed at easing Alberta's unemployment rate.
It appears we've lost Minister McKenna.
Oh my God, I'm losing connection. Click. You got to hand it to those Liberals. They are getting very good at just completely avoiding questions. Speaking of incompetent female politicians, Chrystia Freeland has been appointed Canada's new finance minister. Yes, she may have the financial experience of a digital watch, the political tact of a bowling ball, cottage cheese for legs, and the condescending space cadet demeanor of a kindergarten teacher, but in this Liberal government, she's a perfect fit. See, as she continues to spend our money irresponsibly, having us head towards third world country status, she will have her cooing soft voice to make us feel safe, and her female victim status to make villains out of anyone who dares criticize her while she turns our economy into shit soup.
The restart of our economy needs to be green. It also needs to be equitable.
But let's face it, if there's anything I've learned about the pitiful state of this country, it's very clear that many Canadians love being talked down to like they're stupid children. Personally, I look forward to her reading me pop-up storybooks about the green economy, tales about the end of racism and sexism, and guys, this is not thinly veiled Marxist propaganda designed to tear our nation apart at the seams through divisions of race, gender, and class. No. This is economics. Freeland, the Liberals, yeah, they may ignore the very real plight of homelessness, drug addiction, record job losses, the inefficiencies of green energy, the rising crime rates, and illegal firearms in Toronto, but as long as we get a nice shot or perhaps close-up of those milky thighs, I'm all for it. And then there's Bill Morneau. Bill Morneau resigned earlier this month from his former position of shitting the bed as finance minister. After plummeting Canada into more debt than we've ever had in our history, he thought to himself, you know what, I think now is a good time for me to leave. You think? During his press conference announcing his resignation, he assured us that he made this decision on his own. His resignation had nothing to do with this We Charity scandal that's been in the news. It had nothing to do with the fact that he was caught accepting over $40,000 from We Charity that he suspiciously just remembered to pay back recently. It had nothing to do with the fact that one of his relatives was at one point a full-time employee for We Charity. No, his resignation had nothing to do with that stuff. What are you, stupid?
I know that with this Liberal government, Canadians will be in good hands.
However, many Canadians are speculating, couldn't Bill Morneau's resignation just be the latest scapegoat to distract us all from the latest Liberal scandal? Could Bill's resignation be the very surface level signal to sleepy Canadians? Yes, the We scandal, all the corruption has been dealt with now. I mean, it does seem oddly familiar to the SNC-Lavalin affair when Jody Wilson-Raybould resigned and then Gerald Butts resigned only to return later. I mean, the We scandal does kind of seem like another hokey pokey, if you will. You put a minister in, you take a minister out, you get caught with the bag and blame everybody else. You do a cabinet shuffle and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. But for those of us who are no longer lulled to sleep by CBC propaganda, we're left painfully aware of the putrid smell coming from Parliament Hill. And what are we to do about it? I mean, Canadians are proving to have the attention span of goldfish, the moral fiber of a wet noodle, and the gratitude of a young child having a temper tantrum at the grocery store. Indoctrinated Canadians care about corruption in their government like they care about Indigenous reserves in Canada not having clean drinking water. They may tell you they really care, but I can guarantee you they don't plan on doing jack shit about it. So what can we do? I mean, we can try to hold each other accountable. We can try to support alternative news and alternative media in Canada. You can start by subscribing to this YouTube channel. Share it with your friends. Have a conversation. I'm really tired of making jokes about these people and giving the implication that they are to blame. In many cases, they're not. It's us, the people, who are not holding them accountable, not holding each other accountable. It's us people getting caught up in these petty, insignificant arguments. That's the problem. It's this cult-like obedience to one political party or another. That's the problem. Do mainstream media outlets exacerbate this problem? Of course. And the fact that they are now largely subsidized by the Liberal governments to the tune of millions of dollars a year, yeah, that might have something to do with it as well. What I would hope for Canadians is that they truly engage with politics. I hope that Canadians truly engage with politics in their own country. Because that can be very challenging in Canada when you have the CBC, which is funded by Canadian taxpayers, focusing on American stories and American politicians, black female politicians running for leadership in America, Kamala Harris, instead of focusing on black female politicians running for leadership in Canada, Leslyn Lewis. In 1 week alone, the CBC had 32 different headlines talking about Kamala Harris, the American. In that same week, Leslyn Lewis, the Canadian, was only mentioned 3 times by the CBC. That's sad. And that's Canada now. Thanks for watching. How do I get out of the studio? Where's the exit? Where's the bathroom in here?